Never trust a partner who tells you that their ex is just a friend while they are hiding messages on a second phone. Because that lie is the reason my ex lost his girlfriend, his job, his money, and his freedom in one long week he never saw coming. And yes, by the end of this story, the cheater gets exactly what he deserves. Justice is served. Subscribe if you want to hear more stories like this. I will start with the night that second phone lit up on my kitchen counter, because that was the moment my old life ended, even if I pretended not to see it. I am 27. My name is Lena. I live in a small city apartment that always smelled like coffee and vanilla before he ruined it. For 3 years, I lived there with my boyfriend, Ethan. On paper, he was the kind of guy everyone tells you not to lose. Stable job at a tech company. Funny, social, gets along with everyone. The guy who brings snacks to game night and remembers your brother's birthday. My friends called us the couple that proves good men still exist. They did not see the second phone. The official story was simple. His ex, Chloe, was just a friend now. They used to be serious back in college, broke up, stayed in touch. We grew up together, he said. She knows my family. It would be weird to cut her off. At first, I believed him. I wanted to believe him. I had no reason not to. He was attentive with me. Dates, inside jokes, late-night talks. I met his parents. We spent Christmas together. We planned a trip to Italy for our 4th anniversary. He told my mom he was going to marry me when the timing is right. I did not know he was also telling Chloe, once I sort my stuff out with Lena, we can finally be together again. That night, a few months before everything crashed, we were both in the kitchen. It was close to midnight. He was making popcorn, I was scrolling my phone at the table. His work phone and his personal phone were both charging on the counter. He had never had 2 phones before. One appeared a few weeks earlier. Company gave it to me, he said when I asked. Security reasons. We are rolling out a new system. Separate line for client calls. Made sense. I did not push. That night, the work phone buzzed. Then buzzed again. Then again. Fast. Like someone was typing with both thumbs and zero chill. He was at the stove. The popcorn popped. Butter sizzled in the pan. The kitchen smelled great. But all I could smell was that cold, sharp feeling of something being wrong. The screen lit up. I did not move closer. I did not touch it. From where I sat, I could still see the preview. Chloe, you know I hate that you still sleep in her bed. My ears rang. The words on the screen blurred for a second. My hands went cold. I stared so hard my eyes burned. Ethan turned around just in time to catch my face before the message disappeared. Everything okay? He asked, carrying the bowl of popcorn to the table. I forced my voice back into my throat. Fine. Just tired. He set the bowl down, walked past his phones without looking at them. That told me everything I needed to know. If he were clean, he would have checked casually. Instead, he acted like they did not exist. The little voice in my head, the one I had pushed down so many times before, stood up and screamed. He sat next to me, kissed my temple, pressed the remote into my hand. Pick something dumb to watch. My brain is fried. I nodded, but my mind was not on the TV. It was stuck on that one line. You know I hate that you still sleep in her bed. Her. That was me. Not your girlfriend, just her. Like I was an obstacle, not a person. Like I was a piece of furniture that needed to be moved. He had told me he barely talked to Chloe anymore. Just birthdays. Big stuff like that, he said. We are fine, but it is not like that. My stomach twisted. I could have confronted him right then. I could have grabbed the phone, shoved it in his face, demanded the truth. I almost did. My hand actually twitched toward the counter. But I stopped. Because I remembered every story I had ever heard where the girl confronts the cheater too early. He lies. He deletes. He blames. He cries. Suddenly you are the crazy one. You are the insecure one. You are the problem. I did not want to be the problem. So instead, I made a different decision. If he was going to lie, I was going to collect every single one and stack them neatly in a folder labeled evidence. If he was going to treat me like I was stupid, I was going to let him. For a while. Long enough to watch him hang himself with his own words. Because I knew one thing with absolute clarity. If he was stupid enough to cheat on me with his ex while living in my apartment, eating my food, sleeping in my bed, using my Wi-Fi, then he was stupid enough to leave a trail. All I had to do was follow it. The next few weeks felt like living in a movie where everyone else thought it was a romantic comedy, but I had seen the ending and knew it was a horror. Nothing big changed at first. Ethan still kissed me goodnight. Still made me coffee in the morning. Still sent me dumb memes in the middle of the day. But I started noticing the cracks. The work phone never left his side. When he showered, he took it into the bathroom. When he slept, he put it under his pillow. When we watched TV, it stayed in his pocket, screen facing his leg. He had never cared that much about his phone before. He started saying, "It is just work stuff, really boring," whenever it buzzed. He told me there was no reason for me to ever touch that phone. IT department rules, he said. They're strict now. I smiled, nodded, pretended I bought it. Inside, I was keeping a running list. Tuesday, 10:42 p.m. Work phone buzzes 5 times in a row. He smiles at it, then flips its screen down. Thursday, 1:17 a.m. He slips out of bed, takes the phone to the living room. Returns 30 minutes later, acting like he just went for water. My water glass on the nightstand is still full. Saturday morning, 9:03 a.m. He says he is going into the office for an emergency client call. He leaves in joggers and a hoodie. Comes back 4 hours later smelling like citrus perfume I do not own. I should have walked. Any rational person would say that. But people in love are not rational. We are loyal. We are hopeful. We are stupid in a very specific way. Also, I did not just love Ethan. I had built a life around him. Our names were on the lease. Our finances were half-tangled. Our friend groups overlapped. My mom loved him. My little brother idolized him. I did not want it to be true. So instead of walking, I opened a notebook and started writing everything down. Dates, times, places, little details. Because if he forced me to go to war, I wanted to win. The proof came faster than I thought it would. One Sunday, he said he was going to the gym. Normal. He liked to go around 10. Leg day. Pray for me, he said, kissing my nose. The gym is 15 minutes away. He usually stayed an hour. Maybe 90 minutes if he was really into it. 2 hours passed. Then 3. My stomach churned. I tried to talk myself down. Maybe he ran into someone he knew. Maybe he stayed for the sauna. Maybe he decided to go grab a smoothie. Then I remembered something. His location sharing. Months earlier, after I had a minor car accident in a snowstorm, he insisted we share locations on our phones for safety. If you ever break down again, I want to be able to find you, he said. It felt sweet at the time. Now it felt like a knife he had given me without noticing. I opened the app. His dot was not at the gym. It was in a residential area 20 minutes away. A street I did not recognize. No businesses. No parks. Just houses. I zoomed in. He was parked outside a small blue house with a white porch. I zoomed out and checked again. Still there. My hand shook. My mouth went dry. I stared at that dot like it could answer my questions. I did not call him. I did not text. Instead, I opened my laptop and started typing the address into Google. The street view loaded. There it was. The same blue house. The same porch. A small mailbox with a last name on it. Chloe. I actually laughed. It was not a nice laugh. It was the kind that sounds more like choking. Of course she lived there. Of course. I sat back in my chair and looked around my apartment. Our framed photos. Our shared bookshelf. His shoes by the door. My jacket hanging next to his on the hook. Suddenly, everything felt like props in a play I had never agreed to be in. At that moment, I had 2 options. Option 1, drive there, bang on the door, scream, cry, throw things. Make a scene. Get half the neighborhood filming me for TikTok. Option 2, keep my seat. Keep my mouth shut. Let him think I still believed him so he would keep making mistakes. I chose option 2. I took screenshots instead. Location map. Time. Street view with her name on the mailbox. Saved them to a folder titled Insurance. 3 hours and 12 minutes after he left for the gym, the front door opened. Ethan walked in carrying a plastic gym bag. He smelled like citrus again. "How was it?" I asked, keeping my voice light. "Killer," he said, dropping the bag near the door. "Legs are dead. I am going to feel this tomorrow." He tossed his work phone on the counter. Its screen lit up for half a second. Long enough for me to see her name again. "Chloe, I miss you already." He froze. I saw the moment he realized the phone lit up where I could see. His eyes flicked to the counter, then to me, waiting to see if I had noticed. I pretended I did not. I reached for the TV remote instead. "You hungry?" I asked. "I was thinking we could order Thai." He relaxed. "Yeah, sure. Let me shower first." "I am disgusting." He grabbed the phone so fast it was almost funny. Disappeared into the bathroom. I sat there, heart pounding, and realized something. He did not respect me at all. He did not fear losing me. He did not think I would ever leave. He believed so deeply that I loved him too much to walk that he felt safe cheating right under my nose. He treated me like the kind of girl who cries, forgives, and stays. He thought he was smarter than me. And that right there was his biggest mistake. Because I was done playing the role of the clueless, forgiving girlfriend. I had spent 3 years pouring my time, my energy, my love, and my money into this man. I was not going to walk away with nothing while he skipped off into the sunset with his ex like some discount movie ending. No. If he wanted to play games, I was going to beat him at every single one. I started with small things. I backed up every important document in the apartment. Lease, utility accounts, bank statements, work contracts. I changed the passwords on my personal accounts and email. Quietly removed his name as an emergency contact where I could. I opened a new bank account in my name only and set up a separate direct deposit for my salary. Work is testing a new payroll system. I told him when he asked why the deposit looked smaller. Some of it goes to a different savings account now. He did not question it. He never paid much attention to the money that was not his. Then I did something petty that still makes me smile. I started recording. Not everything. Just the important parts. The random moments where he lied easily. The little slips. The dumb things he said out loud because he assumed I was not really listening. Like the night he told his friend on speakerphone, "Chloe gets me in a way Lena never will." She knew me before I became this version of myself. Or the afternoon he said, half joking, "You would be lost without me, you know that? I handle the big stuff. You just make the place look pretty." I kept my face calm every time. But inside, I was filing his words under a new label, reasons I will not feel bad later. The final piece of proof fell into my lap one Wednesday when he forgot his work phone at home. He was already gone. I was getting ready for my own job when I saw it on the nightstand. Face down. Silent. The old me would have left it there. The new me picked it up. My heart pounded in my ears. My hand shook. I almost talked myself out of it. Then I pictured that location dot at Chloe's house. The messages I had seen. The smell of her perfume on his hoodie. I unlocked the phone. He had used the same passcode as his personal one. Of course he had. The home screen loaded. New message notification. I opened it. "Chloe, did you tell her about us yet? I am not going to be this secret much longer. I am tired of sharing you." There they were. Hundreds of messages. Months of them. Photos. Videos. Voice notes. Him. "You know I want to be with you. I just need to wait for the right moment." Her. "She posted a photo of you two again. That hurts, you know." Him. "Do not look at her page then. You are my real person." Her. "I love you. I cannot wait until this is all done." Him. "If she knew the things we do together, she would die." I sat down on the edge of the bed because my legs felt like they could not hold me. The words blurred and sharpened and blurred again. He told her everything. He told her when we fought. When we had sex. What I wore. How I slept. What my fears were. He turned my life into content for their little secret romance. And she loved it. I could have thrown the phone against the wall. I could have screamed. Instead, I did what I had promised myself I would do from the start. I took screenshots. Every message that mattered. Every date. I love you and I hate that you still live with her, and soon, baby, I promise. I sent them to my email and backed them up in the same insurance folder. Then I put the phone back exactly where I found it. By the time Ethan came home that night, my anger had cooled into something much more dangerous. Clarity. He walked in, kissed my cheek, and said, "You will not believe the day I had," like he was living in a different universe. I smiled up at him. "Tell me everything," I said. Because now I knew exactly how this story was going to end. Not with me crying on the floor while he packed a bag to go live with his ex. Not with him choosing her while I begged him to stay. It was going to end with him losing far more than a girlfriend. My plan was simple. Make sure Chloe knows the full truth about what he has been doing behind her back too. Make sure his job finds out about the way he has been using company time and resources to cheat. Make sure the money he tried to move quietly does not end up where he thinks it will. And then leave. Not in pieces. Whole. With my head high and my receipts organized. He had no idea that the girl he thought was too soft to leave was already sharpening the knife labeled consequences. Want to hear how I used his own lies to blow up his double life and walk away while he watched everything burning around him? That is where part 2 starts. If you ever find out your partner has been running a whole second relationship behind your back, remember this. The loud breakup is satisfying, but the quiet preparation is what really saves you. By the time I finished reading Ethan's messages with Chloe, the breakup had already happened in my head. The only question now was how I wanted the real version to look. He thought he was going to control the story. He had no idea I had already started writing my own ending. The first thing I did was go to work like nothing happened. That sounds strange, I know. But I needed a few days where he believed I was still blind. Those days gave me time to move quietly. At my desk, I opened a new note and wrote 3 words at the top. Job. Money. Her. That was the order I chose. If I walked out with only my feelings hurt, he would still have his job, his salary, his apartment, and his backup girlfriend waiting. He would learn nothing and probably cheat on her too in a year or 2. So I decided he was not just going to lose me. He was going to lose the safety net he built out of lies. I started with the money. We had one joint account for bills, rent, and groceries. Everything else was separate. At least that is what I thought. Looking through statements that night, I realized he had also been slowly moving extra amounts from our joint account into a savings account under his name only. 30 here. 50 there. Little amounts that did not scream theft, but added up. I called the bank, played the dumb girlfriend, and asked for help understanding some charges. The woman on the phone explained very clearly which accounts were shared and which were not. Our joint account had my name at the front. His savings account was him only. Can I adjust the automatic transfers from our joint account? I asked. As primary holder, yes, she said. I smiled. Then I would like to stop all transfers going to Ethan's separate savings, effective immediately. Oh, and could you send me a full statement of the last 12 months to my email? Of course, she replied. Step 1. No more extra money quietly sliding into a secret fund. Then I opened my new personal account and set up an automatic move of my share of each paycheck out of the joint account the same day it landed. By the time he realized the balance looked smaller, it would be too late. Next came the job. Ethan liked to brag about how professional he was. How his company trusted him with big clients. How he was on track for a promotion. He also liked to use company equipment and work hours for his little romance. I knew that because I had seen the timestamps. Messages from Chloe in the middle of meetings. Photos he sent from conference rooms. Even one video of him in a company hoodie in what looked like an empty office, saying, "Wish you were here instead of them." He worked in tech support for a company that handled private client data. There were rules about phones, rules about confidentiality, rules about outside relationships with certain vendors. Chloe worked for one of those vendors. He had told me that once by accident. We met at a training event years ago, he said. She was on the vendor side. I opened his company's public website. Found the ethics and compliance section. Read carefully. There it was, a clear line saying employees must report relationships that could affect vendor contracts. Another line about misuse of company devices and time. I did not want to ruin his life just to be cruel. But I also did not feel like protecting a man who had zero problem lying to my face, using my home, and spending our shared money to cheat with his ex. So I made another little folder. This one labeled work. Screenshots with dates and times where he clearly used company email for personal plans. Messages where he complained about being bored in this stupid training while clearly flirting with her. Photos with the company logo in the background. I was not going to send anything yet. That part would come later, when I was already out. Then there was Chloe. Some people would say she did not owe me anything. That is true in general. But she knew I existed. She knew he lived with me. She knew I had no idea. She sent messages like, I feel bad for her, but if she was really his person, he would not be with me, right? So no, I did not feel any sisterhood toward her. Still, I did not want to just blow everything up in a random rage. I wanted to make sure she got the exact picture she deserved. One evening when Ethan went to grab drinks with coworkers, I pulled out my laptop and created a fresh email address. Nothing traceable to me. Just a generic name and numbers. I wrote one line at the top. I think you should see what he says about you when you are not there. Then I attached carefully chosen screenshots. Him telling his friend, Chloe is great, but I am never going to marry her. She is too much drama. She is like my fun reset. Him calling her a good distraction after a fight we had. Him complaining about her body. Complaining about mine. Complaining about how we each reacted when he did something wrong. No commentary from me. No insults. Just his words. I scheduled the email to send on a specific date and time. The morning after I planned to leave. That way, by the time he tried to run crying into her arms, she would already know she was plan B at best. Now I had the skeleton of the plan. I needed a date. It had to be soon enough that I did not burn out emotionally playing detective in my own home. But also not so rushed that I made sloppy mistakes. The universe chose for me. 2 weeks later, Ethan told me his company was having a mandatory off-site training weekend. He would be gone from Friday morning to Sunday evening. It is in a hotel near the airport, he said. I am not excited about it, but at least the food is usually okay. He said it like a man who expected me to miss him. I nodded. Guess I will have some alone time then. He smiled. I will make it up to you when I get back. I almost laughed. The second he left Friday morning, dragging his little suitcase behind him, I got to work. I had arranged a storage unit already. Medium size, cheap, 10 minutes away. The guy at the front desk had not asked many questions when I signed the contract. I packed fast. Clothes. Important documents. Personal items that mattered to me. Kitchen tools I had bought. The nicer blankets. Anything that felt like mine alone or that I knew he would not even think to miss. I left his things where they were. I wanted him to walk into an apartment that looked almost normal at first glance. The only obvious change I made inside the place was on the nightstand. I took the framed photo of us and replaced it with a plain white envelope. Inside that envelope, I put 3 things. 1. A printed copy of the lease transfer form I had already filed, removing his name as future tenant after the end of the current term, with a note from the landlord confirming she was fine with just me staying because I paid on time and worked with her directly. 2. A printed statement from the bank showing the joint account balance at 50% of what it had been a month before. My withdrawals highlighted. A note at the bottom in my handwriting. You emptied our honesty, so I emptied my part of the money. Fair trade. 3. A single sheet with 3 sentences. I know about you and Chloe. I know about the second phone, the hidden savings, the lies to your job. By the time you read this, I will be gone. I did not sign my name. I did not need to. After I filled the storage unit, I checked into a small Airbnb across town for a week. Paid up front. No forwarding address. I told my boss I would be working from home for a few days because of family stuff. Then I waited. Watching my phone that Sunday was like watching a bomb timer. He was supposed to get back around 6 in the evening. At 5:30, his location dot popped up on the highway. At 5:50, it was on our street. At 5:53, he entered the apartment. At 5:55, he called me. I let it ring. He called again. And again. And again. Then the messages started. Lena, where are you? What is going on? Why is half your stuff gone? You cannot just disappear like this. Talk to me. I watched each one come in without replying. Then he called from a different number. His work phone. That one I answered, because I wanted to hear his voice when he realized he had lost control. Where are you? He demanded. No hello. No pause. I am exactly where I want to be, I said. You cannot just rob me and run, he said. You took money from our account. That is theft. It is not theft if it is my money too, I replied calmly. I took my half. The same way you took your half when you spent it on gas to drive to Chloe's house every week. Silence. Then a sharp inhale. What are you talking about? Oh, you know exactly what I am talking about, I said. The second phone. The location. The messages where you called her your real person and me. A good background. The hotel you booked on that training weekend 6 weeks ago when you were actually in another city with her. He tried to gaslight me. Of course he did. You're overreacting, he said. It was not like that. She and I were just catching up. You're making this into something bigger than it is. I almost felt bad for him. Almost. Ethan, I said, I have hundreds of screenshots. I have your messages. I have your location history. I have emails you sent her from your company account. If I printed them all, we could wallpaper the whole apartment with your lies. His breathing changed. What do you want? He finally asked. Do you want me to beg? Is that what this is? I laughed softly. No, I do not want you to beg. I want you to understand that this is not negotiable. We are done. I moved out. The landlord knows I will be taking over the lease when it renews. You have time to find somewhere else. You cannot do that, he snapped. She cannot just kick me out without my consent. She likes getting rent on time, I said. I am the one who pays it. Also, she saw your little weekend trips on the security camera in the hallway. The times you came in at 3 in the morning with Chloe while telling her I was out of town. She did not appreciate the noise. That part was half bluff, half truth. The landlord had noticed noise. She had not seen Chloe clearly, but she did not like extra guests after midnight. When I hinted there had been cheating, she was more than happy to work with me on the new lease. You are being insane, he said. We can work through this. We can go to therapy. You had every chance to choose therapy before you chose her, I answered. Now I am choosing me. He switched tactics. Please, he said. His voice softened. Lena, listen. I messed up. I know that. But I love you. I always loved you. She was just, I do not know, a distraction. I was stupid. I let him talk. Let him pour out every suddenly honest confession he had saved for when he was losing. I recorded the call silently. Another file for the folder. When he finished, I spoke very calmly. I am not doing this to hurt you for fun, I said. I am doing it because you showed me exactly who you are when you thought I would never leave. You used my home, my money, and my trust to build a second life. You lied to my face every single day and expected me to stay grateful. That is over. Fine, he said, voice sharp again. Then at least do not drag my job into this. Whatever you think you have, keep it between us. There it was. The fear. You mean the screenshots of you using company time and client devices to send Chloe nudes? I asked. The messages complaining about confidential projects to someone outside the company? Or the part where you told her which clients were easy to manipulate? Which part should I keep secret? You would not, he said quietly. I really might, I replied. And that was not an empty threat. I had already scheduled an anonymous email to his company's ethics line with a small sample. Nothing illegal. Just enough to trigger an internal review. I was not out to get him arrested. But I was done protecting him from the results of his own choices. We went back and forth a few more minutes. Him begging, then yelling, then trying to guilt me. Me staying as steady as I could. Finally, I ended the call with one sentence. Want to know what the worst part is? I asked. What? He snapped. You were about to find out that you were cheating on both of us, I said. Because everything you said to her about me, you said to me about her too. The email she gets tomorrow morning will explain it better than I ever could. He started shouting. I hung up. Then I turned my phone off. I slept better that night than I had in months. In the morning, I turned the phone back on and watched the fallout begin. 10 missed calls from Ethan. 3 from his mom. 2 from an unknown number that turned out to be Chloe. Well, not unknown exactly. I had seen the number in his messages. I did not pick up. Then I checked my email. There was a reply to the message I sent from the anonymous account. From Chloe. Subject: I knew he was lying, but I did not know it was like this. Her email was long, angry, hurt, full of phrases like, "He told me you were cold," and "He said you knew about us and did not care." She wrote that she had confronted him already, that he tried to blame me, tried to say I had twisted everything, that she had read every screenshot 3 times and realized she was not his real person either. She was just his escape hatch. I sat there in the cheap Airbnb chair and felt a strange mix of things. I did not feel bonded to her. She knew about me and still chose to be the secret. But I also saw the pattern. He used the same exact lines on both of us. Same promises. Same fake future. He had turned us into mirror images without either of us knowing. By Monday afternoon, the other part of the plan kicked in. An email from Ethan's company landed in my personal inbox. Not to me directly. I had blind copied myself when I sent the anonymous note to their ethics line, so I saw their reply. Thank you for raising these concerns. Our compliance team will review the information provided. Any misuse of company devices, confidential client data, or violation of vendor relationship policies is taken seriously. I did not need to do anything else. They would handle it. Now all that was left was to watch. I gave myself one last little gift before I completely cut him off. I went back to the apartment once, when I knew he was still at work. I used my key, walked in, and stood in the place that had been ours for 3 years. It felt different. Quieter. Empty without my things. His hoodie lay on the couch. The bowl from his breakfast cereal sat in the sink unwashed. The envelope on the nightstand had been ripped open and left there. I wasn't there to talk, or to look at him, or to give him any more of my energy. I was there to take one thing. My spare key from the hook by the door. I took it down, dropped his copy on the shelf, and walked out. On the way back to the car, I saw him turning the corner onto our street. His eyes widened when he saw me. He sped up. "Lena," he called. "Wait, please. We can talk." I paused next to my car, looked straight at him, and said the calmest words I have ever said. "There is nothing left to talk about," I said. "You made your choices. Now you get to live with them." He opened his mouth to argue. My phone buzzed in my hand. A message from an unknown number again. I knew that area code now. Chloe. I met his eyes, then lifted the phone slightly. "Good luck," I said. "It looks like your other life is calling." His face twisted. "You ruined everything," he said quietly. "No," I answered. "I just stopped helping you hide it." Then I got in my car, drove away, and let the door close on that chapter. I knew there would be more drama. His family. Our friends. People choosing sides. I knew he would tell his version of the story where I was crazy and vindictive and overreacted. But I also knew something else. I had the receipts. If anyone ever wanted to know the truth, I could show them. The only thing I had not seen yet was the part one wanted most. The moment his job stopped being the safe place he thought it was. And that moment was coming faster than he knew. Because Ethan had spent months treating everything like a game. My heart, Chloe's feelings, company rules, money we had built together. The thing about games is simple. Eventually, someone calls time. And when that happens, the person who cheated their way through every round usually ends up standing alone, staring at a scoreboard they never thought would count. That scoreboard started to light up the same week. And that is where part 3 begins. If you ever think cheaters always land on their feet, you have not stayed quiet long enough to watch karma put on its work boots. The first hit Ethan took was not from me. It was from Chloe. 2 days after I left, my phone lit up again with her number. I ignored the first call. And the second. On the third, curiosity one. I answered. Her voice was harsh, like she had not slept. "Is this Lena?" "Yes. This is Chloe." She said her own name like she was tired of hearing it. "I know," I replied. Silence hung between us for a moment. I could hear traffic in the background, someone honking. "I should probably say sorry," she started. "But I am not even sure what for first." I leaned back in my chair at the Airbnb table. Let's start with you knowing he lived with me. I did, she admitted. But he told me you were basically just roommates. That things were over, that you were practically broken up, and you were just scared to be alone. Of course he did. And that made it okay for you? I asked, not angry, just curious. There was a long pause. No, she said finally. I just wanted to believe him. We have history. I told myself if he went back to you, that meant I was the one who got left twice. So I held on to whatever story made me feel less pathetic. At least she was honest. What changed? I asked. She laughed once, bitter. Your screenshots changed. The ones where he called me a distraction. The ones where he complained about my body to his friend and then sent you the same selfie saying I looked kinda rough lately. The ones where he told you he would never actually leave you because, quote, Chloe is fun but unstable. I let that sink in. So now you know he was cheating on both of us, I said. Apparently we were sharing a clown, she replied. For the first time, we both actually laughed. It was short and sharp, but real. I kicked him out, she said next. For the record. He tried to show up at my house that night, crying like a cheap movie. I told him to go back to his roommate. He said you had left and it was all your fault. I told him good. Then I told him to get off my porch. The image warmed me more than my coffee. Do you want anything from me? I asked. An apology. Revenge tips. A playlist. She snorted. I just wanted you to know I am not your enemy. Stupid, yes. Blind, absolutely. But I am out. That is all I wanted, I said. For both of us to be out. We did not become friends. This was not some healing sisterhood story. But we ended the call on something like neutral ground. The second hit came from his job. It started with a text from a mutual friend who worked in the same building. Did you hear what happened with Ethan? I stared at the screen for a second before typing, no. What? He got pulled into some big meeting with HR and compliance today, she wrote. He looked like someone hit him with a truck when he came out. There is talk of policy violations. He is saying his ex is trying to destroy him. I smiled without meaning to. The anonymous report I had sent with those screenshots? Apparently it had reached exactly the right eyes. I did not know all the details, but I knew enough to guess. Using company devices and time to sext? Bad. Sharing small pieces of client info with someone at a vendor? Worse. Ignoring the rule about reporting personal relationships with vendor employees? Very bad. The thing about tech companies is simple. They can forgive a lot if you make them money. They forgive less when you make them look legally vulnerable. 3 days later, the same mutual friend messaged me again. He is on administrative leave, she wrote. Everyone knows what that means. He is telling people you made things up. But he cannot explain the actual email logs they pulled. Administrative leave. That neat corporate phrase that usually means we are getting our paperwork ready to end you. I did not dance around the Airbnb, but I did sit a little taller. Not because I wanted him broke and desperate, but because I wanted him to finally realize something. Actions have consequences outside the living room. He had spent months thinking cheating was just a personal drama. That he could play two women against each other, keep his job, keep his social status, and walk away with whichever one he felt like. Now he was learning that lying had collateral damage. To his paycheck. To his reference list. To the version of himself he had sold to the world. The third hit was his support system. Cheaters rarely ruin only their romantic relationships. They usually overestimate how much other people will protect them too. His mom texted me first. Lena, I heard you and Ethan are on a break. I do not want to take sides, but he says you are exaggerating. I read that message twice, then typed back. He can show you his message history with Chloe. Then you can decide yourself if I am exaggerating. She did not answer for a day. When she finally did, her tone had changed. I did not know, she wrote. I asked to see his phone. He refused. That tells me enough. I am so sorry, dear. You did not deserve that. I believed her. She had always been kind to me. But I also remembered all the times she had praised him as such a good man and joked that I was lucky. Luck had nothing to do with it. He texted me again that night for the first time in a week. You went too far, he wrote. You ruined my job. You turned my mother against me. You turned Chloe against me. What do you want? Blood? I stared at the screen. Then I answered one final time. I did not ruin anything, I wrote. You ruined it when you decided to build a life on lies. I just stopped covering the cracks. He replied 6 more times. Paragraphs. Voice notes. I did not open them. Then I blocked his number. His work phone had already gone dark. Weeks passed. I moved into a new apartment closer to my job. Small, bright, mine. I bought a new couch with the money I had taken from our joint account. It felt like the most righteous couch in history. I changed my hair a little. Started going to a yoga class my friend had begged me to try for months. Started sleeping through the night without waking up every 30 minutes in a panic, wondering if the second phone was buzzing inches from my face. People asked questions. Some friends wanted all the details. Some already knew enough to pick a side. A few tried to stay neutral, which really meant they did not want to lose access to both of us. I told my version once. Calm. Short. No dramatics. He cheated for months. I found out. I left. He is dealing with some consequences. I am done. If anyone pressed for the messy details, I asked them why. Is it going to change your life to know what hotel he chose? That usually shut them up. I did not spend my days stalking his social media. I muted him. Moved on. I thought that was it. Then karma decided to add a little bow on top. One Saturday afternoon about 3 months after I left, I was in line at a coffee shop when someone tapped my shoulder. I turned. It was one of Ethan's old coworkers. The one who always posted gym selfies and jokes about grind culture. Lena, hey, he said, surprised. You look good. I have not seen you in a while. How is life? Better, I said honestly. How are you? He shifted, lowered his voice. You probably already know, but things got bad for Ethan. After the compliance stuff, they let him go. No references. HR flagged his file. He whistled softly. Then apparently his landlord kicked him out for breaking guest policies. Word is he is staying with some random guy from his basketball league now. Lost Chloe. Lost you. Lost the job. Dude's life is not great. I listened. Sipped my coffee. What happened to Chloe? I asked, not because I missed the drama, but because I wanted the full picture. She moved, he said. Got a job in another city. Someone said she is dating some doctor now. She blocked Ethan on everything. He says she used him, but he shrugged. We have seen the screenshots. We know what went down. I almost felt bad for Ethan in that moment. Almost. Because this was the thing, I never needed him homeless or miserable to feel okay. I just needed the universe to show him that cheating is not just between 2 people. It spreads into your job, your friendships, your family, your rent. He had spent months thinking he was the main character, clever enough to juggle everyone and walk away clean. Now he was a story his coworkers told over beers as a warning. Do not be that guy. The last time I saw him in person was not dramatic. I was leaving work, walking to my car. It was raining lightly. I was juggling my bag, my umbrella, my keys. Then I heard someone say my name. Lena. I turned. It was him. He looked smaller. Not physically, but in energy. His shoulders were hunched. His hoodie was faded. The confident glow he used to carry like a jacket was gone. We stood there under gray sky for a beat. Hi, I said. Hi, he echoed. Awkward silence stretched. How are you? He asked finally. Good, I said. Really good, actually. He nodded slowly. I am glad. He looked like he wanted to say 100 things but could not pick one. I heard about the job, I said quietly. And the apartment. He winced. Yeah, that was rough. I did not gloat. I did not say, I told you so. I just waited. I just wanted to say, he swallowed. You were right. About everything. About me. About what I did. The apology came out flat, not dramatic. Not performed. Just tired. I treated you like a safety net, he said. Like you would always be there no matter how badly I messed up. I told myself I deserved options. And I did not think about what that made you. Or her. Or anyone. He took a breath. I lost everything at once, he said. And for a long time, I told myself you destroyed my life. But the truth is, you just stopped letting me use yours as my cushion. It was strange, hearing him say the exact thought I had written in my notebook months before. I am not asking to get back together, he added quickly, seeing my face. I know that is done. I wanted you to know I get it now. What I did. How deep it went. How much I took for granted. There it was. The justice I had been waiting for. Not him crying on my doorstep. Not him begging on his knees. Just him standing in the rain, looking me in the eye, and admitting the one thing that mattered. He knew he had been the villain in my story. Not the misunderstood lead. Not the victim. The cause. I hope you actually change, I said. Not for me. For whoever you date next. They do not deserve to pay for this version of you. He let out a short, bitter laugh. I am not dating anyone. I am dating job boards. Fair. Well, I said, adjusting my bag. Good luck with that. Lena, he said as I turned away. Yeah, thank you, he said quietly. For leaving when you did. If you had stayed, I would have kept being that person. I do not think I would have stopped. I nodded once. Then I walked away. I did not feel triumph. I felt clean. Like I had finally washed the last bit of his chaos off my skin. People love to say, time heals everything. I do not think that is true. Time does not heal. Choices do. His choices built the mess. My choices got me out. And time just gave us space to see it clearly. By the time I reached my car, I realized something. For months, I had wanted some big, cinematic moment of karma. Lightning. Fire. A spectacular crash. Instead, justice looked like this. Him standing in the rain with nothing solid left, finally understanding that he had done it to himself. And me, dry under my umbrella, walking toward a life that did not revolve around managing his damage. That was enough. #### part 4. Justice served. If you are still listening to this because you are going through something similar, here is the part you probably care about the most. What happened to me after? Cheaters' stories often end with, and then I left. But there is a whole life after the leaving. And that part matters more than any revenge. After I blocked Ethan fully, after the HR emails and the Chloe drama and the awkward chats with mutual friends, I did something I had not done in a long time. I sat alone in a quiet room and asked myself a really basic question. What do you want now that you are not busy surviving someone else's choices? The answer did not come fast. I had been busy for 3 years making myself smaller to fit inside his life. A lot of my preferences were buried under we like and we always. I started small. I bought the food I liked, not the food that matched his gym routine. I rearranged my new apartment exactly the way I wanted, without thinking, will he like this couch, or is this too girly for him? I turned my phone face up on the table because I no longer had to pretend I was not curious about who was texting me. I stayed late at work voluntarily because I liked my job, not because I needed an excuse to avoid an awkward dinner. I went out with my friends and did not worry about getting a "where are you?" text every 20 minutes. I was not healing by doing big dramatic things. I was healing in tiny boring ways. Like waking up and realizing I had not checked someone else's location in a week. Like cooking dinner for one and feeling peaceful instead of lonely. Like laughing at a show and thinking, I actually think it is funny, and not, he will hate this. His name came up less and less. People moved on. The friend group split naturally. A few stayed in touch with him. Most drifted my way, not because they chose me in some custody battle, but because they did not want to sit through his endless pity speeches. I never released the full story publicly. I never posted the screenshots online. I did not need the internet to be my judge. The only judge I cared about was the one inside my own head asking, did you protect yourself this time? And for the first time in a long time, the answer was yes. About a year later, I was at a mutual friend's engagement party when someone asked, hey, whatever happened with Ethan? Do you ever talk? I smiled. No, I said. And that is the best thing that ever happened to me. They laughed. We moved on. It was not a heavy moment. It was just done. Here is the thing people do not tell you about karma. It is not always loud. It is not always dramatic. Sometimes justice is quiet. Sometimes it is just a slow shift where the cheater ends up exactly where their choices were always taking them, and you are not there to catch them when they trip. Sometimes justice looks like he loses his job because he could not respect basic rules. He loses his backup girl because she finally sees she was never the main one either. He loses his apartment because he treated it like a hotel, not a home. He loses people's respect because they see the pattern he thought he hid. And you? You lose the constant anxiety. You lose the second guessing. You lose the tightness in your chest every time a phone lights up. You lose the idea that love means tolerating lies. You get your time back, your money back, your peace back. So yes, to answer the promise I made at the start. By the end of this story, the cheater did get exactly what he deserved. He ended up broke, alone, job hunting, explaining the same mess over and over, finally realizing that playing with people's hearts is not just bad behavior. It is self-sabotage with a delay. And me? I did not get revenge in the dramatic movie sense. I got something much better. I got to walk away before his sinking ship took me down with it. That is the real justice. Watch the next story.